In this lesson, we're going to be setting up the tracking for our RotoPaint node. Okay, so you'll notice that if we're looking at the RotoPaint node here, we've got a nice cover of our ground, but if we scrub forward, it moves behind the RotoPaint node. The shot is kind of panning down slowly. So we need to track that poster board that we're covering up to get some data to tell that RotoPaint node to follow along with our shot. So I'm going to clear our properties bin, and then we'll just zoom in here, and we need to add a tracker. So just hover over the empty area of your node graph and hit the tab key, and you can type in tracker and click that suggestion. And then we'll grab this arrow and plug it into our read node, because this is where we're getting the data from. So with our tracker node selected, let's hit the 1 key to move our viewer over to look at this node instead. And we'll come over here to the tracker tab and add a track. And then we can zoom in here, and I'm going to position this right on that lower left-hand corner of the poster board and make this a little bit smaller here. And then we'll just track to the end. So come up here and make sure you're on the first frame, and we'll track to the end. Perfect. So that went by really quickly, and it looks like it got a pretty perfect track. If we're looking up here, there's really not any kind of jittering. Looks great. Okay, so now what we need to do is open up our RotoPaint node and make sure you're in the Transform tab. If you're in the RotoPaint, click over here to the Transform, and we also want to go into the Transform tab of our tracker. And now all we need to do is link this data together. So we'll come over here to the X field of the Translate on the tracker, and we'll Control and left click and drag up to the X field of the Translate on the RotoPaint. And you can see that turns blue because now they are linked. And then we can do the same thing for the Y. Perfect. So now let's clear our properties bin again. We'll zoom back out and select your RotoPaint node and hit the 1 key. You can see we're looking at the RotoPaint now, so it's covered up. And now if we hit play, that should move really nicely. What we painted should move really nicely with our shot. So that looks really great, and this tracker is going to be really helpful for giving us some translation data for that slow pan of our shot later on once we start adding more things that need to stick to the ground. Okay, so now we can move on to our next lesson, where we're going to be using our clean plate that we brought in, which is this piece right here, but it's only a single frame, so we need to kind of unite the read node that has our zombie and then also this read node for our clean plate and get it to start moving along with our zombie shot. And we'll also begin creating a rotoscope for our zombie's legs, because we need those to be gone. So stick around, and in the next lesson we'll start merging this together and cleaning this up so that the zombie doesn't have the legs, so we can start to use some of those guts that we made.